Morning, everybody. Good morning to everyone who's joining me today. What do? We pretend that we're fine. I didn't get to see the results of the poll. If I'm supposed to pretend that I'm fine or tell you that I'm sad. But good morning to Felony, Lauren. Jenny's here. I thought she was saying hi to Jenny at first, but she's not. Who else is here? Chase is here. Good morning to Chase. Appreciate that. Just changing my style here real quick. Tyler. Salamander's here. Taliu's here. Just taking out the garbage. Taking out the trash. That's how you say that, Taliu. You don't say it like, oh, I'm taking out the garbage. You say, I'm taking out the trash. Because then it kind of implies that you're doing something cool or something. John got a lineup looking sharp. I don't know what that means. Nice intro. That's I decided that instead of doing the dumb little AI pictures, that I'll probably switch over to some of the photos that I've taken over the years. I used to my Instagram before I was internet famous, which is a joke. I used to just all be photos of nature, and I think I used to have a pretty good eye for that. So I'll be using those more often. I've got a huge cache of photos of kind of what it's like where I live, so that gives you an idea. That music was a cover of The Night We Met by Lord Huron, so you can listen to the original or any cover if you want to hear that song. Oh, all right. You got a haircut and a beard trim, a lineup. Boy, everyone knows things except me. I think it was Texas time or something recently where she's like waiting for the show. She goes, I'm ready to learn. But it's like, I don't know anything. You guys know everything. I don't know what a lineup is. And I just look different because I'm not wearing a hat. Thank you for saying I look good. I wouldn't know unless you told me. How's everybody else doing? I always talk about me. Everybody doing okay? Last week was kind of tough. 9/10 and now 9/11. And were you able to unplug this weekend? Were you able to take some time for yourself? Was it even a weekend for some people? I always kind of hate it when people use the phrase, oh, do you have a good weekend? And like, I worked all weekend, man. Especially when I was at the prison, I would work Saturday and Sunday. I would have like Tuesday and Wednesday off. Like, oh, do you have a good weekend? Like, fucking no. That was my middle of the week. No, I didn't have a good weekend. And I would be telling this to the TV because the TV says something to me about my weekend. So, I mean, that's the kind of the life that I've always led. Is I've never had the weekends off. Yeah, I remember even going back to college, I didn't have much of a college life because I didn't have the weekends off. Like I went to class all week and then I worked sometimes doubles. So it would be from 8 to 10 p.m., 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. or later. I mean, if you close at Target, that doesn't mean you leave at 10 p.m. So I would be there all day. And so I never went to a football game. I never went to a mixer or a social or anything. And boy, what a chump. I would do that differently. But I didn't have confidence back then, so maybe it doesn't really matter. My sister's here. Good morning to my sister. Last week was crazy for multiple reasons. Yeah, it wasn't just national things that were crazy, but like life was also just really tough. But it was a crazy week for calls at 911. Drew's not here, not listening. No pressure from the boss, which he would hate to be called that. But, oh well. Hey, Texas time. I've got tons of memes. I got lucky. I got a lot of memes before Wednesday. My algorithm's completely different. So for the show, I call it on Spotify. It's called the Algorithm Show because it's meant to. I'm trying to capture a whole different audience here that maybe knows nothing about me from anywhere. But my algorithm's completely changed, as you can well imagine. And the stuff that I'm seeing there is thought provoking and but not humorous at all or anything that's going to like lighten your day. And this is something that Drew and I talked about on Thursday night. If you remember, then you watched this, but there's a danger to the algorithm because what the algorithm does, whether it's on your YouTube or in your Instagram, or I presume your Facebook, but your algorithm shows you what it thinks you want to see. The reason for this is that it wants you to use that application as much as possible. Like TV, they want you to watch it. They want every single free second you have to be must-see TV. So you're looking at you're scrolling and all this, and it's just endlessly refreshing, which is why it can be such a huge time suck. But the algorithm will show you, if you've ever clicked like or share or something or search for something, all of a sudden that reprograms your algorithm. This is what this user is into. So if you comment on something, the algorithm knows what that content is. It's intelligent enough that it can read a meme, it knows what it is. And so you're in danger when you use so much social media that the only thing you're going to get reflected back to you is your own ideas, your own opinions, and you're not going to hear from other people. But here's the most dangerous thing about the algorithm. And I mean this when I say dangerous. Is that it reinforces very extreme ideas. It shows you the most extreme behavior by a certain group of people, whether that's Black people or poor people or white people or Republicans or liberals or whatever. You're going to see lots of videos of, for me, like, something that's going to provoke outrage is, somebody whose hair is dyed purple, someone who weighs 400 pounds, and someone who's got a nose ring, septum ring, complaining about whatever, Donald Trump, something, and it's going to provoke all kinds of outrage in me. And I'm going to have this, it's going to reprogram me to have this idea that this is not a person. That person's behaving in a very uncivilized way, but they're not a common person. They're not a standard bearer for their point of view. They're an extreme person acting in an extreme way, trying to get likes, trying to get traffic, trying to get attention. But that's not the person who lives next door to me who disagrees with me. There's a person who lives next door to me. There's nobody on this side, thank God. But on this side, there's someone who lives next door to me, and they don't agree with me about everything. But that person is a kind person, is a reasonable person, and we don't agree on everything, but, I'll mow a little bit of their lawn, and, they might bring me over some beers. I mean, that's happened. That's what your neighbor is. But there are forces in the world, whether you want to call it dark corporations or big elitists who donate money to all kinds of political realms, regardless of ideology, or foreign governments. But they're in that algorithm. There's bots on the algorithm that, if you ever wondered why somebody in a comment section will just fight with you all day, yeah, there's at least a couple nerds out there that live in their mom's basement who have nothing better to do. But on the other hand, it might just be a bot. And these bots are designed to foment angst and resentment and hatred and extremism in America, so that we don't like each other, and so that we get to the point where we're no longer looking at each other as humans, but we're looking at each other as targets, whether it's through a phone or a scope. So I just want to remind you that the algorithm has some danger, and you need to be more conscientious about setting aside some time to put your phone down and maybe be outside and maybe have a beer with your neighbor, because that's the real world. But when we look at this stupid little phone, we get this idea of what the world is through this little stupid black rectangle. But that's not what the world is. This thing's designed to feed you stuff that makes you pay attention, that riles you up, angers you, and makes you think very, very, very extreme things. Because I don't know if it's dopamine or whatever, but whatever chemical it's putting into your brain, it makes you keep coming back for more. And I get addicted to that as much as anybody. There's a show that I like very much that shows clips from. I mean, sometimes it's funny stuff, but I mean, it's a lot of times it's extreme behavior, and they kind of comment on it. And I just have to remind myself in those moments where I'm feeling extremely angry that extreme behavior is actually not what I see when I go out. And I've had it before where I see somebody at the grocery store after watching the show. I'll watch it at the gym and then I go to the grocery store, and then I'll see somebody and they're wearing a hat that says, "Make racists afraid again." And this happened to me. This is a personal story. But I'm over there trying to pick out an avocado, which is not easy to do. So it's already a stressful situation, right? You got to touch these things. Who else has touched it? You got to squeeze it. It's got to have a little give on it. Can't be too firm. Otherwise, you're not eating it until tomorrow. But I almost got up in this dude's face. I'm like, because he's quite a bit smaller than me. I almost walked up to him like, "Hey, I'm a racist and I'm not afraid of you." Why? Why would I do that? What an insane thing to do. Doesn't that sound like an insane thing to do? I'm not even a racist, first of all, but I didn't like the implication that he thinks that anyone who thinks differently than him is a racist, because that's something else that he's programmed to believe. But I wanted to buy into that because I realized that I probably think differently than this guy. So, I'm going to have a fight in the produce section because this guy's wearing a stupid shirt, because he's got stupid beliefs that are programmed into him by his phone. But I was really mad at the guy for wearing a hat. And it's just like, that's extreme behavior, that I'm going to pick a fight with a guy because of his dumb hat. And I know it was because I was watching that show and because I got all kinds of ideas in my head about what life is like. And so just be careful. Because it is a little brainwashy, and you need to step outside of yourself. You need to put it down, and you need to remember that that the guy under the hat is a person that doesn't deserve to be confronted at the grocery store, even if he's wearing a dumb hat. He does deserve to live in peace, and he gets to have a hat that says something dumb on it. And I deserve to be able to ignore him and just go on with my day. So the show's about my algorithm. I was able to get some good, hopefully funny memes, something that will distract you. I'm going to have to try to reprogram my algorithm before next week, or there will be no memes, unless you just want to constantly relitigate what happened last week in Utah. So I'll work on it. Let's hit those comments before I start going. Alan Watts is the GOAT. I don't know who that is. Somebody that someone else is listening to. That's fine. The attacks from the enemy are real. Enemy with a capital E. That's extremely true. There actually is quite a bit of spiritual warfare. I will tell you, I went to church this week. And I think if your pastor had nothing to say about it, you need to get another pastor. I do think that. Because that's something of spiritual significance that happened in our country. And without getting into it, because I'm not your pastor, if they glossed over it, if they moved past it, if they didn't want to talk about it openly, then there's a problem. Now, your church should also be one that talks about the Bible almost exclusively. Like you should be getting so many verses dropped on you from the Bible that you can't write them all down and you can't keep up. I don't like churches where they I've been to churches where at no point are you asked to open a Bible. I was out looking for churches once, and somehow the Bible didn't come up at some of these places. But they would talk about how they actually talked about Kobe Bryant the entire time. I don't know how to explain that. But that was something that was of spiritual significance that happened, and it was interesting because we're in a series about joy at church, about abiding in God's joy and love and all these good things. But my pastor is someone who's very, very he's like me. I mean, he's someone that God put in my life for a reason. So if you wanted to get to know him, he's a lot like me, except he's smarter than me. But he cooked for a bit, and I was all about it. And he had some things to say that bothered a family so much, a family that I had never seen before, by the way. They got up and left. And I sent him a text after church letting him know that I was proud of him, because the truth is going to make people uncomfortable. Truth is going to upset people. Why would the truth be pretty to you? You're not the one who arbitrates truth. You, me, none of us does. So, but the truth gets told, and so the truth is offensive, and some people will not hear the truth. And it's really too bad, because those people left right in the middle when he was cooking, and they didn't come back together at the end, where my pastor says, God's love is so good that if this guy who killed Charlie Kirk repents and finds Christ, Charlie Kirk will embrace him in heaven. Those people were already gone for that. So you missed the good part. And that's what happens, I guess, when you're too afraid to hear the truth, is that you're never going to hear all the truth. You're too offended. God forbid my ears hear something that I don't want to hear. Well, this show is not successful. It has never been designed to be particularly successful. I have never wanted this channel to succeed. I don't do anything with it that would help it be successful. I mean, the thumbnails, for the love of God. The titles, not good. But I don't really care. So you might hear some things here that you don't want to hear. It doesn't mean that I'm the arbitrator of truth either, but I'm just letting you know that it's possible that you might hear something that's true, and it might offend you, and you should get used to that, because the truth, why would the truth conform to what your idea of what is offensive? The truth doesn't check with you before it exists. The truth doesn't check with you before it is. It just is. And then you can feel upset about that truth, or you can accept it begrudgingly or welcomely. All right. That's 18 full minutes of me preaching, and I, not getting super chats on this channel, so I'm not getting paid for that. So we'll just keep going. I am my only enemy. Anyone else is just a speed bump. This is why I regularly delete my search and watch history on YouTube. Could be good. Why can't we weigh 400 pounds? You can absolutely weigh 400 pounds. That's my whole point, is that you can weigh 400 pounds. And that's fine. And that people don't need to make assertions or judgments about you for weighing 400 pounds. I weigh almost 300. The nose ring was a dig at me. No, it wasn't. I can't even be fat anymore without angering John. I think you didn't get to the end of that thought, because that wasn't the point I was trying to make. I'm the last person that's going to fat shame anybody. Christy would tell you that me growing up, oh man, I was very heavy and I was very mocked for it. There are quite a few soccer players in my school, and I don't know if this was a phenomenon of Sonic the Hedgehog, But the degree to which you were popular in my elementary school directly correlated with how fast you could run. And I was routinely second from last. So, agree with you in principle. We all need to disconnect from social media and reconnect to humanity. I'm too talented to get fired. Nose ring is jewelry. The more rings he's talking about are the statements. There's a type of person, I guess. Really, that's what I'm trying to evoke. I'm using imagery to evoke a type of person. Okay. So again, we're kind of getting bogged down in details while we're missing the overarching message. But you know what? You can lead a horse to water. What else do we got? Where's Foxy? Is she here? Oh, she's here. Thank God. I sent her a clip of the show on Thursday where we were talking about her behind her back. About how she should have been there and wasn't. Social media, I wouldn't say it pours rage in because it can't manufacture rage, but it reflects our own rage at us. Christy, this is something that you missed last Thursday. But I said that social media is not a window to the world, it's a mirror of yourself because of the algorithm, that it reflects back at you that which you're most interested in. And yes, outrage is the right word. You're interested in the things that you hate or in the things that you like. But whatever provokes that response from you that makes you keep coming back, that's what it keeps showing you. And that's not a reflection of reality. You're not getting a true core sample of what humanity is like. You're getting the most fringe elements that provoke the most outrage, that become the most interesting, that make you want to use your social media the most. And it's not good or healthy, and it's completely programming America and the world, and it's a huge problem. We're all essentially Manchurian candidating ourselves. We are. I don't know if you've ever read that book or seen that movie. It's fantastic either way, but Raymond Shaw is this guy that gets captured during the Korean War. He gets captured by the Chinese, and his whole unit gets captured. And they all get brainwashed to the point where one of them executes another. They're in the same unit, but their bonds are so broken by the Chinese that as a test, one of them executes another in front of all of them. And so someone from this unit is well placed politically. His stepfather's a senator or something, but he's going to get cooked by the Chinese to assassinate this presidential candidate and take his place. Essentially, he can't. He's going to be killed late in the election cycle, and so Raymond Shaw can step up and take his place. I think that's the basic plot of the movie. Well, Raymond Shaw is normal most of the time. He doesn't know that he's brainwashed, by the way. He has no idea. He cannot tell. What's funny is that he has all these little tells in his behavior that let other people know, people that know what to look for. They know that he's not in the front seat driving his car. The Chinese are. But there's a way to activate him so that all of a sudden he starts receiving instructions and just acts and doesn't say anything. And that's if someone shows him the playing card, the Queen of Diamonds. So something that he'll do is, with some prompting, someone will call him on the phone. They say, "Why don't you relax, Raymond? You've had a hard day. Why don't you sit down, have a drink, and play a game of solitaire?" So he's, programmed to at least respond to that. So he plays solitaire, and when the Queen of Diamonds comes up, all of a sudden he's like in a full trance, and then he just receives instructions, and he doesn't even know it. This is our Queen of Diamonds right here. We will be scrolling, and it's just like going through a deck of cards. You'll see a 3 clubs, you see a 2 of spades, and then you see a Queen of Diamonds. And it puts you into a state where you're especially susceptible, I think. It's not as dramatic as the book, but we are getting programmed by this. We're voluntarily letting this thing decide what we're thinking about, and the actions, to the point where we're thinking about fighting a guy at a grocery store for no reason. This is like a line from Rick and Morty or Community or something, Tyler. Careful. You're already offended. Can we do some memes? Whether you like this program or not, please click the like button. Don't do that. Don't you realize, Drew, if this show succeeds, it'll trend algorithmically? Hello? Everybody click dislike. I don't want you to ever see me in your feed again. What did you say Texas time that you're just kidding about? Good morning. You didn't mean that. I'm not missing the message. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Because the worst thing I could do is I could try to make a point on the show, but because there's some detail in there that it's distracting, that you miss the mess. Like I said on Sunday, someone was offended by something they heard, and they got up and left, and then they missed the whole point. They couldn't get to the end. And I realized that, just like my pastor, I'm someone who takes a while to cooks for a while to get there. It's fine. Foxy says, I'm sorry, I missed Thursday. John isn't getting a sorry from me today. Well, save your sorries for someone who's sad about you, Foxy, because you've apologized to me 100 times and you won't do what it takes to solve the problem. Brent sent me a DM with your Venmo. I want your scholarship, your membership. That's very sweet, Drew. Thank you. I couldn't handle any of social media and quit all of it 20 years ago, except YouTube. Social media, yeah, I didn't realize at the time when it came out, when I was, in college, I didn't realize how insidious it was. I did see some of the initial negativity of social media, but I blamed people for that. I didn't blame social media. But now, because like I would never blame a gun for a shooting, I would only blame the person. But now I realize that social media is literally engineered to rope people in. The gun doesn't care if you pick it up or not. Social media literally is programmed to try to make you do that. Carbs always cheer me up. You and me both. I will tell you that is extremely true. Well, let's just do memes. Just as a reminder for now, we have merch. I emailed them the other day saying, where are my products? Why are my people not getting their stuff? I have not received an email. Drew sent me an email about an issue that I tried to contact them about 2 weeks ago. So I guess they're 2 weeks behind on their email. So I also couldn't find any way of shutting down the shop. Like there's no like self-destruct button so far as I can see. Maybe we need to keep poking around with that. But time to get merch, I guess, technically exists, but Drew and I are going to probably find someone else that can supply that. Perfect way to start. Perfect way to kick off from Skooks. But phone is cigarette for eyes, right? You're stressed out. You need a break from the world. So you look at your phone. That's a cigarette for your eyes. But this is perhaps a perfect metaphor that makes in 2 seconds what it took me 18 minutes to say. Cigarettes are bad for you. I almost wonder now, because like these memes that I got that are so relevant to what I was just saying, I did get these a week ago. Instagram is bad for our mental health. What about Outlook? Outlook's bad for your mental health. I don't think I've gotten any important emails really in the last week or so. Well, one. I actually forwarded it to Drew. I was so mad about it. I love how self-aware you are. Thanks. It's ruining my life. A friend of mine was very self-aware. And she always kind of hoped that she could get a little bit of a traumatic brain injury, just a little bit, just to knock a few IQ points off, just to take the edge off. Just let's go down 5 to 10 IQ points. Then I don't have to be so painfully self-aware. then I can be happier. I think we'll all agree, regardless of where you're at on the spectrum, political or otherwise, that stupid people are the happiest people on earth. I've done everything I can. I was huffing polyurethane down here all summer. When I started the podcast, I had a kerosene heater, and I would get high by the end of the show, right on the air. I'm doing everything I can to kind of knock down some of those IQ points, but still a little bit too high. So we'll see what we can do about that. Unpopular opinion. As I said, there would be plenty of those. And by the way, we've already lost 4 people from the start of the show, and we're only just now into memes. So what does that tell you? Where did those 4 people go? I guess they were here for memes, and then they realized they don't want to hear me preach. Well, they got up and left before I was done, so they don't get the good part. I don't think your life has to have a purpose or you a grand ambition. I think it's okay to just wander through life and finding interesting things until you die. Do I agree with that? I think you can have a grandiose purpose that maybe you're never aware of because each of us has an effect on each other. And in that sense, we fit into God's plan in ways that we can't understand. But I think maybe this is trying to get you to relax a little bit about what you mean. If you feel stressed out or if you feel inadequate, maybe you don't have to fulfill some sort of great purpose or great ambition, which is eluding you. Maybe you can just wander through life finding interesting things until you die. And certainly when you do die, for most of us, the world goes on, and then some will grieve you, of course, but like there's an old saying, a wave upon the sand, you're gone. And the world goes on without you. So maybe, try to not worry so much about the purpose that it is that you're trying to fulfill. Maybe that's easier for me to say because I don't have children. Hey, it's your Dasher. They're out of oat milk. Do you want another kind? What are my choices? This would make me insane as a Dasher. Almond, skim, 1%, 2% whole. Like he's literally there, I presume, trying to pick up this person's coffee. Boy, that's a lot of options. That's modern milk for you. What a time to be alive. Could you just pick out your milk, please? You know what I would have done? I'm not a Dasher. I would have said, put almond milk in there. And then I would have never told them. And then they would have never known, even though oat milk does have a significantly different taste than almond milk. But I would have, it's not my fault they put in the wrong milk, but, am I really going to stand there for 10 minutes waiting to find out what kind of milk you want? I may be antisocial and I may be unattractive, but that's all. That's it. I may be antisocial and unattractive. Should I put my camera on the focused as fuck setting or the motherfucking focused setting? I think this is automatic and manual. I have a DSLR and I ought to just sell it. Honestly ought to, because I don't do anything with it. I said at the top of the show that my whole Instagram used to be nothing but landscapes. Stunning landscapes, by the way. There's an old saying in photography that, because people have different philosophies about which camera you should be using, what's your shutter speed, what's your f-stop, all this stuff that I actually don't understand. I just implied that I understood it, but I don't. Why would anyone want to stop an f? But the answer to that philosophical question about under which circumstances is the right camera, the answer is whatever camera you have. So just with my Smith Tech 5500, this phone that gets hot if Drew texts me a meme, that's the right camera. So I've actually gotten some pretty good pictures with that, and I imagine iPhone users probably getting some pretty good pictures out there. They shoot movies with iPhones now. I think they shot. What movie was the first one they shot with an iPhone? No Country for Old Men was shot on an iPhone, I think. I'm pretty sure. And I think it was edited on Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the program that I use to make Comm Center. So it's like it was made on like a very small budget. Congratulations, it's a boy. Unfortunately, your wife didn't make it. What? Well, then bring me the one my wife made. Just throws it. My gums are bleeding. That's what you should check out if you like this comic. I get the vibe that it's a female that makes it. Some of them are pretty. This was one of the nicer ones. So if you like that kind of like, what was the name of that comic? Something in cyanide or whatever has kind of that vibe. Thought the worst part of being an adult was the random $40 you have to spend every once in a while. But it turns out the worst part of being an adult is the random $300 you have to spend once in a while. Well, that's inflation for you. I wish I was stupid. The problem with saying something like this is you're always going to get somebody who's like, I got great news for you. Don't set yourself up that way. Outlook is bad. Yeah, every day I get something from Outlook. Don't want to see it. I've done this rant before on the show before, but like take Outlook away from me. I don't need it. I don't want to email anyone. I don't want anyone to email me. I don't deserve Outlook. Outlook's too good for me. I try to make this case to my boss. Like I don't need Outlook. You could just have them taken away from me. I should just send an email to the IT guy like, listen, it's too much of a responsibility, with all the phishing out there, Just take it away. It's okay. Some of the missing people might be me switching between the phone and the laptop as I run around. Yeah, I still started the show with 18 and we're still at 13. So at least 5 people were not happy to hear that they might not have been unhappy with what I was saying. They might have been unhappy that I was boring. That's always possible. Find interesting things, good things to do. Go help a food pantry. Shovel your neighbor's driveway in the winter. This is something that's really, really important. Something that I almost should have tacked on to the end of my sermon because as I made my way out into the world, gosh, what day was that? I stayed at home Friday and just became more reclusive. But Saturday I went out into the world. I went to the gym and some other places. And I didn't do this with any kind of intentionality. And I didn't do it because I'm such a good guy, because I'm not necessarily one of those. Like you've just heard a story about me wanting to beat someone up in the grocery store for a hat. So I'm not a good guy. But I think I held a door open for someone and I had to stand there for a little bit. It wasn't like they were coming through at the exact same time as me, but I was just trying to show some courteous behavior, which I guess I do sometimes. And then I did that a couple times, it's holding a door or letting someone walk in front of me or something, because I generally try to be chill. I've got my headphones on all the time and I'm always listening to something. I'm never in a hurry. But I felt like the more kind and courteous I was to those around me, the more healing it was. And I remembered like when I went through some of the worst stuff I've ever gone through. If you want to feel better, the best thing you could do is be kind to other people. So if you're having a shitty week, if you're not feeling good and you're feeling like you hate humanity, try to be kind to somebody. And I used to feel like I could do that at work, but that's no longer sufficient for me. Whenever I'm kind to someone at work, I'm kind of just doing my job at that point. So you need to do something that's not your job. That's a kindness to other people. Fox wants to know what her purpose is to produce offspring. To be a good mom. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I have a T-shirt with a dolphin crying on it. It says, "My life has no purpose." I love it, and it's way too true. There's a joke that I love. Uh, it's a Norm Macdonald joke, and I love his jokes because like they take 5 minutes to tell. But the punchline is that well, it contains the word porpoise. So I've already been talking for 40 minutes. The show's supposed to be mostly over, and I'm not even like halfway through it. Cyanide and Happiness, something like that. Yes, that's the name of the show. Is anyone old enough to be around for the original Office memes sent on fax machines? Example is a stork eating a frog and the frog choking the stork. Don't ever give up. Oh, I think I saw that one yesterday. There was an episode of the Drew Carey Show in which a caterpillar was attempting to romantically mate with a French fry, and it got Drew sued. This was in like season 1 of the Drew Carey Show. Don't send memes on the fax machine. Don't post them around your office. Go shovel snow, John. I will be soon. I shoveled the snow of my neighbor when I used to live at my old house in the city. I remember this, poor lady. She was quite a bit old, and I would always be shoveling in the middle of the night because that's when I was home to do that. And I would get to the end of my sidewalk, and then it would go onto her property, which was also a corner. And I'm like, I just might as well keep going. She's old, she's not going to be out here. I remember she came to my house once with like a chub of hamburger, like a 5-pound chub of hamburger, trying to thank me. She's, I don't have any money to give you, but I have this. And it's just like, this sounds mean, but if all you have to thank me is hamburger, then please keep your food. I got me. Look at me. I'm a big boy. I'm eating plenty of hamburger. I think I let her keep it. And I told her that, it was no big deal. Then I got divorced, moved out of the house, and I have no idea who was taking care of her after that. And I've always felt bad and hurt about that, actually. Because it wasn't ever really my responsibility, but I did disappear on her. So I just have Walmart delivered. It saves me from the random purchases. That's one of the benefits of being within their delivery range. I hold the door open for men all the time. They always say thank you with surprise in the voice. Well, yeah, because it's not how chivalry works. You're wearing the frog t-shirt today. Tally-hoo, I hate to tell you this, but that's I won't say it. I'll just be nice. I hope you like your shirt. I'm wearing one that says Cowboys because the Cowboys kicked a 64-yard field goal yesterday to narrowly avoid a tie against one of the worst teams in the league. Go Cowboys. All right. I am like not even a third of the way through these memes. We're just going to have to like punch through it. Like no discussion, no nothing. As a man, you should be getting louder with your sneezes every year. By 35, people should be able to hear your sneeze outside your house. By 50, you should be making old people down the road think a storm is approaching. My sneezes were getting louder for a while, but now they don't do that. They kind of hit a crescendo, and now they're relaxing. By the way, Maddie McMeme is one of my new favorite sources, if you can't tell. It's awesome when people honk at you for not moving when you're letting people cross the street. You're right, bro. I should just annihilate this family of 4. People cannot see very far outside of their windshields, can they? And by the way, that's a very figurative thing to say. They did something to Cheez-Its. They're worse now. I know this as well as I know my own name. What's funny is I like the reduced fat Cheez-Its. I like the reduced fat wheat thins. I shouldn't like them if they're reduced fat. That means reduced flavor, but for some reason they're crispier or something. I don't know. RFK Jr. is such a quack. What a quack. You must listen to the real scientists. like the ones who made us put on a mask as we entered a restaurant, walk 10 feet to our table, and then take it off as soon as we sat down. I remember literally being at a bar. Where was I at? Wisconsin? Minnesota? But yeah, like they opened up, but like they were like hawkish about how making sure you didn't, if you were going to get up and walk around and go to the bathroom, you had to put your mask on. Okay. Anyway, trying to get some sleep. Have this as your midnight snack. Have some NyQuil slices. This is something Jenny would eat. I'm just calling her out because honestly, if you don't like crunchy peanut butter, like what are your limits? Maybe you don't have any. Earth boring. Alien graffiti can be so hurtful. Earth boring. A business idea. By the way, you have to know this is from Wieners and Losers, that account. Otherwise, it will make no sense. A swimming pool that you can boil hot dogs in, and then when the hot dogs are done, the pool is cooled off. And then you can swim in it together with the hot dogs and eat them. When you are done, you will have the delicious smell of hot dogs all over you. Yeah, and you know that it's clean because it was obviously boiling. It's relax your muscles and all that stuff. At a bar, hot woman winks, which by the way, I've only been winked at one time in my whole life. And I wasn't even sure. So what's a girl need to do to get a drink around here? You just ask the bar for one and then exchange it for money. That's me. 3 days later, tying my shoelaces. Wait a second. Changed 3 days to 3 years later. I never got it. I have stories. I'm sure I've told them on here, but I remember I was at a bar once on Halloween. And this girl walks up to me and says, "Would you settle a bet for me?" I said, "Go ahead." She goes, "My friends and I were wondering how tall you are." And I said, I'm 6'5" with shoes on. It's probably a solid 6'6". And then I turned my back on her and walked away. It was probably a whole table of girls, all of which were interested in me. It was well after Christmas before I realized that one. There are numerous other examples. Do you want to know what's funny or ironic about it though? And I think this is actually why the Lord gave this to me. A lot of men talk to me. I have had it before where years ago, I think I was at the same bar, which goes to show you that it's not like a hardcore bar. If any, like me, are you kidding me? But I was literally there with my mother-in-law waiting for my wife to come back, and this dude sits down and just starts talking to me. And I don't really know what friendly people are like. But it got explained to me later that this dude was totally hitting on me. And I'm just like, why? I'm not gay. And they're like, well, he was. Like, oh. Well, isn't that nice? I think that's why I can't tell. I think I was just made blind so that I wasn't made to see certain things. This might as well just come from my agency. Reminder, there's no proper way to do CPR. It's totally normal to just have your own style and technique. You be you. Do it your way. Who cares if you get sued for doing a shitty job? Who cares if you don't sound like a professional 911 dispatcher? Who cares if it seems like you're in the wrong job? From the way that you fucking give CPR instructions. I know that the expectation to actually save a life must not be there. But someone might listen to this later, so why don't you at least read from a script if you have never apparently ever been aware of CPR or how to do it or received any training whatsoever. Why don't you read off the fucking card so that later your CPR instructions don't sound like you're stupid? You could at least try to sound professional. No, just do it your way. You be you. It's fine. All right, choose a pasta. Here's a funny palate cleanser after that moment of pure rage. Oh man, this is so hard. This one goes out to Texas Time, who said that carbs were her thing. And by the way, just circling back around to the 400 pounds thing. Do you know, Texas Time, that I cannot eat at Chick-fil-A even one time without gaining like 10 pounds? I can't. If I look at waffle fries, I start retaining water. I don't know what to tell you. I immediately pack on weight from even looking at a carb. I love pesto so much. However, pesto can be made with pine nuts. I have an allergy to some pine nuts that actually gives you a condition called pine mouth that destroys your sense of taste for like a month. This happened to me once because of there's like in China they use some sort of cheap chemical as a releasing agent for pine nuts from their shells, I guess, and then this agent stays on the nuts, and then when you eat it, it tastes like pine trees, and then it gives you pine mouth, so that every single food that you eat tastes like pine needles. I had that once. That was awful. I'm not a big lasagna guy. I've never been a big lasagna guy. I think maybe it's because my mom made terrible lasagna. The noodles would always be mush in the middle and crunchy on the outside. It was always a horrible experience. Fettuccine Alfredo. I love the white sauce, but you got to put something in there. Shrimp, chicken, something like that. I love shrimp scampi. I love it. That's a favorite. Penne alla vodka. I'm sure I've had, but I couldn't tell you when or what I think about it. Same thing with bolognese, which I thought was like spaghetti and meatballs, but it's apparently something else. Maybe that's meat sauce is what bolognese is. I don't know. Ravioli, not a huge fan. I like it okay. I think we're going to have to go with shrimp scampi. What do the people say? Shrimp scampi is good. Marine's blood here first last night and now almost last as the show is winding down. You could do so much with Alfredo. Shrimp scampi, no surprise my sister likes it. BF and G, I also agree pesto is delicious. So it says choose a pasta. Only answer would be A. Wrong answers. I like this. Jenny is she's smart. Choose a pasta. It's she says the meme essentially says choose spaghetti and meatballs. This is almost like one of those intelligence tests. Choose a pasta. Thus any other choice is wrong. Wow. You make me feel like I should send in my driver's license. Carbonara. Bolognese all the way. I'm having cereal and milk because the hot dog water made me so sick. I love cereal and milk. That's what I love to eat before I go to sleep. That's my thing. That's what I love. Should we do videos and send them to John of us winking? No. Well, I think that would just weird me out. Jonathan, wow, just wow. I think this is her response to the NyQuil slices. Wow, just wow. Well, I don't know. I don't want to tell you. I'm going to go with shrimp scampi, but Jenny is correct. Choose a pasta. The correct answer is spaghetti and meatballs. I guess everyone. Sorry, everyone. We're all bad and dumb. Many years ago, in a tavern near hell, men developed the dark practice of having the audacity. I obviously don't know what this means as a man. Nobody is going to do it like me because this is probably not the right way to do it. Just like this podcast, there's not going to be another podcast out there like this one because I can almost assure you that preaching at everyone for the first 18 minutes and then showing 45 memes is probably not a good way to do a podcast. This one may have been here last week. And to be honest, it doesn't feel as funny this week. But one has to go. NFL, beer, and parlays, which I don't gamble. So NFL and beer, or your stupid fucking family. Lots of people yesterday reached out to me about the Cowboys game. I guess it was a thriller. It wasn't on in my market. I was forced to ignore the Lions and the Bears game. Actually, when I was at the gym, I watched the Bills kick the shit out of the Jets. I don't know why the Bills are getting so much play around here. I don't live close to New York, but the Bills are on all the time. I guess if the Chiefs aren't on, the Bills are on. That's just how it is on CBS. Yeah, that one was funnier last week. Love being an uncle. You could just tell them anything. Yo, little man, if you flip a light switch enough times, it gives you $1. That's the sad thing is like now my niece and nephew are so old that I can't mess with them anymore, I bet. So I kind of missed out on that golden era in which I could have messed with my niece and nephew. Oh, well, I guess I'll just have to give them cigarettes. I have an extremely relaxing day off. This is a nice bourbon with a little too much ice in it for my taste, but I've often seen it served this way, but with garnished with an Uncrustable. Nothing says like you really haven't grown up like whiskey with an Uncrustable, and yet this is something I would actually really enjoy. That's the thing about bourbon is that bourbon is the spirit that you think is unapproachable. There's really no wrong way to serve bourbon. There's no wrong way to drink it. There is no wrong bourbon. And if you want to eat an Uncrustable as you drink bourbon, that is okay. Bourbon was kind of my thing before I stopped drinking. I used to be really into bourbon. I used to drink a lot of it, and now I don't anymore. Small blobs of human brain grown in a dish have been coaxed into forming rudimentary eyes, which respond to light by sending signals to the rest of the brain tissue. In other words, a new horrific state of consciousness just dropped. Why would we do this? Why are we creating human brain cells in petri dishes and then giving them eyes? Learn we nothing from Frankenstein et cetera? Awake, but at what cost? Yeah, that was me this morning. Oh, my Lord. At what cost am I awake? What you're about to see is a nightmare. This episode of The Twilight Zone was about dead people coming back from the dead, back to life. It was actually a pretty terrifying episode. I love The Twilight Zone. Binge watch that on occasion. Great show. Don't start in season 4. The hour-long episodes aren't as good. Telling a guy from 1900 that we have nuclear-powered capital ships that weigh 100,000 tons, and he gets all excited and asks me how big their main guns are, and I choke up and look away. How big are their main guns? Oh, man. Sorry, guy. The era of the battleship is over. It's over. But I think if you told him that we invented flight, he might think that that's pretty cool, you know? So maybe he would be impressed by the aircraft carrier. I'm hearing that the aircraft carriers may be going away within our lifetime, that drone technology makes aircraft carriers obsolete. Interesting. Mexico fucking nailed it with food. Man, they were just like, here's tortilla, meat, and cheese. Then the tortilla's open. You like that? Uh-oh, remix. Now it's closed. Still delicious. Unreal. Simple food, but yeah, they got it right. When they put my memes on the big screen at my trial. This meme was also funnier last week because I'm much less likely to get a trial now. Sorry to circle back around to this, but there's every chance that I might just say what I think and feel and just eat a bullet for it. It's possible. We're going to need the biggest boat you have. No, that's too big. Refer to the Titanic. If you're not a Hans Moleman fan, then you don't get it. But that was a reference to he was caught in a moment of the birds. The birds were swarming. So he calls up and he says, "We're going to need the biggest seed bell you have." No, that's too big. Obviously, going from the Orca to the Titanic is a. This should make a movie where there's it's the Titanic, but then Jaws is there. Just nobody cares. doesn't affect anyone. Everything's fine. Nothing said September to me quite like an NFL game being played on a baseball diamond. We don't do this anymore. Isn't this where the Raiders used to play? You would watch a Raiders game and all of a sudden they would score a touchdown at first base. What? Man. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. It takes me back. Someone told me that caffeine doesn't give you energy. It just blocks your brain from knowing that you are tired, but you still are super fucking tired. So that's knowledge I didn't want. I want to know if there's more things I could drink that can block my brain from knowing things. I guess that's what alcohol is, but I just said I gave up bourbon, so. I didn't see my notification on my phone. Trump. It's his fault. Uncrustables do not come in crunchy. We'll get the technology eventually. We'll get there. Human progress is a process, Jenny. We're not entitled to everything all at once. We have to earn things in this life. Uncrustables were the first sign of the downfall of humanity. Why, Taliu? You going to make a sandwich for me? Are you going to do it? I could do it, yes. But I'm not. You're not. I'm not. So, Uncrustables. This is the ambrosia of the gods for EMS. Whiskey and Uncrustables. What is it that Christy says sounds so good? I think I missed that. So good. I just made green chili bacon home fries. I can't eat those. This is what they're going to plant in drones. Okay. I often do not know what you guys are talking about. So the Petri dish brain, too, can look at us in disappointment. Why give it eyes? Yeah. Does it need to respond to light? Does it need to know when it's day or night? That's probably all it can sense is whether the light's on or off. Is it healing that something inside of me that didn't know was broken? Texas time. You mean your fries? That's good. Have we learned nothing from Jurassic Park? No, because we made 9 of them. Honestly, like that's Jurassic Park's like the one movie where, despite how good Jurassic Park was, there should have never been another Jurassic Park. And I thought Jurassic Park 3 was pretty okay, but there should have never been another one. Because when you watch Jurassic Park, it's so obvious that like, well, we learned our lesson on that. Like, the park was destroyed. People died. We're not going to roll the dice again with this one, On the other hand, we don't, in real life, we seem to not learn our lesson. I'm at the point of my marriage where first base is basically a touchdown. I like this guy making jokes from 90s sitcoms. The joke, right, is always how frigid the wife is. I don't think you realize that you're a walking 90s zeitgeist. I found that if you reply to liberals bashing Kirk coverage as if they are violent psychos, it really makes them mad. It's like, please don't hurt us. I know you only know violence. I've been seeing some of that. I've been seeing a lot of it. Somebody, we're getting some of that comments on our videos this past weekend, our 9/11 video of all things, and I kind of went off on them. This guy was glad that Kirk was dead, and it's not the place for it, because I have my own channel to alienate people with, But I just told him, like, I hope to God that when I die, uh, it makes all the shitty people on Earth happy. I think it's actually kind of a testament that if you're such a shitty human being, that you're pro murderer, whether it's Luigi Mangione or this guy, Tyler, what the fuck his face is, that if you're pro them, it's like the Rick and Morty meme. Your boos mean nothing to me because I've seen what makes you cheer. And if I die and you cheer about it, it's just a compliment because you're a shitty human being. So if the kind of person who would be happy that I died is cheering that I died, if I can get a lot of that, I'll feel good about it, because that means I was pissing off the right people. I realized that we are cursed to repeat patterns until we're self-annihilated. That's a bit dark, but you're right that human nature never changes. That was something that I was taught very early on by, I think, an English teacher of all things. But it's just like, you want to know why literature from thousands of years ago still resonates with us today. It's because anything that's well written is going to comment on human nature, and it never changes. Thousands and thousands of years, human nature never, ever changes, and there really is no progress. We've made a scintilla of progress versus Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, the Romans. You think that because you have an iPhone that you're more complicated than these people, but we're not. And that's why shows like Star Trek kind of piss me off, because they suggest that in 300 years we're going to be evolved and we're going to be better off. But no, Captain Picard, there's always going to be someone who's using car batteries to make meth, living out in a trailer, even while you're zooming around the galaxy. So Rodney Dangerfield is my muse. He was before the 90s, but yeah, he kind of set up the nothing is going right for me. The thing that I heard about him just yesterday, I was listening to an episode of Joe Rogan, but his career was huge in the 50s, and then he stopped being a comedian. He was on the rebound. He got back into comedy in the 60s. He was getting back into comedy in the 60s, guys. Like, that was his second wind. So sort of amazing. And when he had done comedy before, he wasn't really doing the bits about how life doesn't work out for him. But my favorite Rodney Dangerfield joke is that, and I can't do it in his style, but I'll tell you the setup and the punchline. But he remembers his father before his father died. And he remembers how much his father loved him. And right before his father died, his father said, come here, son. I want you to come sit on my lap. And then the warden said, no, we don't do that when you're sitting in the electric chair. Or whatever. The joke is that the father was about to be executed and he wanted to take his son with him. Rodney could do it better than me. There are people who are ugly, ugly, ugly on the inside. Well, that goes back to human nature and how we're all sinners and we need the grace of God to save us. But there are, whether you want to address this or not, there's a lot more ugliness on the other side, because nobody's burning down a city right now. There's no looting, no violence, no rocks being thrown at cars. No signs, nothing on fire. So I'm not going to go for this. Well, let's see both sides. There's ugliness on all sides. No, there's definitely more ugliness on one side than on the other, because this country is not on fire today. So there you go. It is important to hear other people's opinions without blowing up. or shooting someone. That would be nice, particularly if all they're doing is talking to people. So, what's a completely random fact that doesn't sound true, but actually is? Well, we've all kicked a pregnant lady. Could you come to terms with this, that you've kicked a pregnant lady before? Mine was just my mom. So, if you say excellent choice after somebody selects a floor in the elevator, you can usually get a pity laugh. I never get pity laughs anymore. I can't remember the last time I got a pity laugh out of somebody. There's no reason my stomach should be growling. I just gave it some cigarette. Men, please vent to women. They do care. It's a trap. Yeah, one of the things I learned very early on in life was never to share your actual thoughts and feelings, because they can and will be used against you in a court of life. Do not share what you think and feel with people. The truth is that sharing your emotions is damaging to others. I don't even have like a story to go with that. It just is. If you share your feelings, it's like setting off a little grenade to those around you. They can't handle it. They don't want to hear it. They say that they do, but they don't. And then you have to live with the consequences of it. It's something that happens very frequently, I guess, in my experience, is that a woman in your life wants to hear how you feel, and then you tell them, and then it hurts their feelings. And then you have to apologize for your feelings, and you have to apologize for hurting their feelings. And all of this is because you finally answered up to their repeated prompts of to give voice to your feelings. So just bury that shit. Do not tell them, because it is a trap. Moving on. Be the best you could be bothered to be. This is about as encouraged as I can get anymore. Be the best you could be bothered to be. And other people, unfortunately, cannot be bothered to be very much, but be the best you can be bothered to be. This is almost like a mantra for me now. I'm going to get more hatred with this one, but this just reminds me of my ex, not to keep going back to her, but she was a modern, independent woman in 2015. Very much, she didn't have Crocs, and she wasn't a nurse, but her, she was in professions similar to that. A banged up car, child support, a really nice watch, a check engine light, a big Stanley Cup thing. I don't know if this bothers you. If this annoys you, then I'm guessing that there's enough about it that's true. Otherwise, you would just be like, what? This makes no sense. This doesn't resonate with me. But I'm guessing it resonates. Here's something else that shocks and resonates. This was one of the earliest memes I did on the show, but it's still one of my favorites. Now that I've added milk to the cereal, tell me, is that milk now a beverage, a broth, or a sauce? Is the milk in your cereal? And I want to hear from Texas time on this one. Is that milk now a beverage, a broth, or a sauce? Answer carefully, Mr. Johnson. Your wife's life depends on it. What's the answer? I'm filled with joy when I see baby on board sign attached to a car in front of mine. But sadness washes over me when I realize the car is a hearse. It's only when I notice that it's being driven by a baby do I begin to have mixed feelings. I just like that one goes full circle. I'm sure I've shown that one on the show before. I'm no marriage expert, but have you tried putting on a sundress and telling him you don't trust the government? That would work for me. If a woman puts on a sundress, she tells me she doesn't trust the government, and she brings me an Uncrustable, I will do anything for that woman. I'm locked down. I'm locked in at that point. Love, honor, and obey. Sundress. Tell me you don't trust the government. You bring me an Uncrustable. It doesn't. You don't have to bring me bourbon. It's fine. I sadly am highly dependent. Well, I mean, it's, I don't think any of those things were especially good. Ha ha ha! Regarding the hearse, very good. I hate that I have to count the calories in milk because obviously it's a necessity to eat the cereal. It should be written off. Yeah, I'm also doing a lot of calorie counting right now, and Texas Time says broth. Okay. Who's tossing out memberships? There's no memberships to be had around here. Because Tyler does that on the other channel. Thank you for the membership on the other channel. I was able to watch material, old material that's members only. Texas Time, was that worth it to you? We actually used to have a robust members only thing of things going on. Like every week, we would do after show, and we would do this show that I'm doing right now. Would be members only. We're going to be doing more members only stuff because we have no idea what to make the show about now that Donna Adelson trial is over. And we used to kind of just, as those of you who watch the show forever know, that we would just from week to week do interesting stories and cases. And if something high profile came along, we would do that, but we would also do smaller stuff. But I think a lot of our stuff's going to be more members only, just to kind of like help preserve our algorithm, ironically. But one thing I'm thinking about doing for Halloween as a members only treat, and I haven't discussed this with Drew yet, but I've come across a lot of YouTube videos like the scariest 911 calls ever, or like the 911 caller's the killer or whatever. And then I could listen to those for the first time and listen and comment on it as like, what would I do? Or what do I think about this? Or is this horrifying? Or do I have a story about that? And that would be good content. And then Drew can cut it up, and then he can soft launch that as like just channel content to other people, but you guys would get to see it live. So let me know if you like that idea. And honestly, you guys are the hardcore fans. Anybody that's watching this right now, I mean, you're either hardcore or you have nothing else in your life at all. Like you live in a desert of importance. There's nothing else around you if you're going to watch me talk for an hour and 18 minutes about this stuff. But feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at I Stand Correct. Send me a link to a video or something you want me to react to as members only content. If it's good, I'll do it. If you send me a video that I think's lame, you'll never see it. Sorry, that's just me being straightforward with you, because sometimes people send me stuff that I've seen 100 times. Like they'll send me a TikTok of an 911 dispatcher. I'm like, yeah, I've seen this for over 100 times, and this isn't real. Will it be satisfying to you if you send me a TikTok? First of all, I can't see those. I'm not going to get TikTok to watch them with, but will it be satisfying to you when it be like, this isn't real for the following 18 reasons? It's just funner to believe, Kiefer goes live at 2 Pacific time. Oh, yeah, he usually does. That's me when I'm at work, so I'm not sure why you bothered to mention that. Keith and I don't really team up anymore. It was a surprise benefit, John, because now I can see the earlier versions of this show. Well, let me just apologize to you for that. Texas time. We've gotten a lot better in 2025. That's all I can tell you, is that the show used to be much less produced, and it used to be not at all edited, and it used to be we didn't really we had a different vision for what the show was going to be. So when you're watching prototypical episodes of what we used to be, like there's still good clips, there's still funny and good clips of us, but I mean, really ever since what was that thing we covered before, Karen Reed, the woman in Michigan who set her husband on fire? I'm sorry, I don't remember her name right now, but like that was kind of a moment that changed the channel. And when we covered Karen Reed and Sandra Birchmore, we also were seeing insane numbers that changed the channel. And Donna Adelson continued to push us in that direction. So there's kind of a what Comm Center was prototypically, in the very beginning when we had zero idea of what we were doing. And then we kind of hit this middle ground where every single week we were doing something that was kind of okay, somewhat interesting. And then we got a little bit more professional about it, about around the time we did the Ruby Frankie episode earlier this spring. And now we are what we are now. So I just hope you find something that's worth paying for, so that when your membership that was gifted to you is over, that you feel like becoming a member yourself. And if you don't, I understand. It's annoying capitalization is from the source where I just copied this then to paste it here. Gotcha. What? Okay, it's something that I thought was good for you, and then I forgot it already. Damn it. Well, you could find it and send it to me at any time. Wife is going soon. She games soon, though. Jonathan hates Keith for stealing his birthday. That's kind of what it's about, yeah. Linda Sturmer, yeah, that's what it was. He's getting married on my birthday, and I don't appreciate that. He didn't talk to me about it first or anything. He just decided that his birthday was going to be. And I'm pretty sure that's a Friday. Who gets married on a Friday? What is he doing? Anyway. All right, back to the memes. Most of the comments here are just people talking to other people. I don't need to be so interested in that. Where were we at? I don't know. White people love that stick. This is the only form of segregation that we have left. I like this because these are some Charles Darwin quotes. I'm not a big Darwin fan. I loathe, I abhor the sea and all the ships which sail on it. That to his sister. I hate a barnacle, as no man ever did before. I hate barnacles. I am very tired, very stomachy, and hate nearly the whole world. I think he got seasick. I don't think he liked traveling to the Galapagos and elsewhere. I am very poorly today and very stupid and hate everybody and everything. I hate myself. I hate clover. And I hate bees. This one's interesting to me. A cryptic note left on a car. You were so easy to find, Mark. You should drive more carefully. Actually, what's interesting about this meme is that Dewey and I and another friend of mine, we actually made a whole short film about this, where a guy gets into his car. He goes to the grocery store. He gets to his car. He comes back, and there's another car parked so close to him he can't get in the driver's seat. He has to go around or whatever. And he gets to his car and leaves a nasty little note, like, learn how to park, asshole, and leaves it under the guy's windshield wiper blades. Well, the guy comes out of the grocery store later. You never see him, but he picks it up off of his wiper blade. And then like 6 months goes by, and the same guy goes to his house. He's going inside. And all of a sudden, this vehicle pulls up outside. Just very limited music, very limited dialogue. Gets out of his car. And the guy's walking up to his house, and the note was something like this. It said something like, you should be more polite. You have no idea how crazy some people can be. It was something like that. So he's like wigged out, but then like the guy got out of the car behind him, and he like puts on like a mask and is walking towards him. Little 90-second horror film. So it was just like this. It was inspired by the fact that like I am someone where if I leave the grocery store and someone parks next to me or leaves a nasty note or something, I could see their license plate. And if I wanted to violate every ethical code there is and the law itself, I could run their license plate and figure out where they live. I have the power to do that, although I would never do it. It's just like you never know. You never know how crazy some people are. You never know what abilities they have access to. If I was a bad person and someone wanted to do something like this to me, I could find them. Cops, could do that as well. I would never do that, but that's kind of the the impetus of that film that I made, which in no way involved 911 or referenced it. It's just, it was you need to be careful about leaving rude notes to people because people are crazy out there. And I think it's a crazy world. A good way to tell elder millennials from the younger ones is to shriek, sing, "Peaches come from a can," and then see what happens. Just 9 now, just 9 people watching. So I've literally lost half the people that were here at the beginning. It's fine. Getting myself a treat because today would have been my birthday if I was born today. If I had been born today, it would have been my birthday. So I'm going to get myself a treat for that reason. This actually, I got this before last Wednesday, but this one's just more prescient than ever. It was the "oh my God, what now" of times. It was the seriously what the fuck is happening of times. That's us right now. That's our tale of two cities. It was the "oh my God, what now" of times and the seriously what the fuck is happening of times. This one was funnier before last week too, so let's move on. Officially starting a rumor that the dudes from Dave & Buster's are the same as the dudes from Barnes & Noble. Dave Barnes and Buster Noble. Why not? Who fucking cares? I used to try to like peddle this rumor that Milton and Bradley were the Parker brothers and that the whole thing, ironically, was just to get around monopoly busting practices. You know, all the board games in the world were made by the same company, but we can't have monopolies because. So Milton and Bradley were the Parker brothers. I don't know. Is that funny? It's not, is it? Company. This pan is non-stick. Oh, cool. Forever? No, for like a month. Oh, and if you scratch it, it's poisonous. This is how it was back in my day. Did we ever fix the pan situation? Are pans still like this now? Are non-stick pans still poison if you scratch them? I've got a lot of scratched pans, so if you could let me know before the next time I cook, I'd appreciate it. If I die, just know I died doing what I love, which is dying. Anyone who's read any of my fiction knows that. Here's a comic we all wish that could be taken back. Thanks for lending a helping hand. Superman says. Same goes for all of you. Jared from Subway says. You know, wish we could take that back. Here's a good meme. Here's the meme of the week. A hot dog could take 30 minutes off your life, but a workday takes 8 hours off. I think that puts it in proper perspective. You know, we were talking about how unhealthy hot dogs are. Man, that takes 30 minutes off your life. A workday takes 8 hours off of my life. You know, I've never met a medical receptionist that I believe wanted me to live. It's very true. And they're not even the meanest or most uncaring people in the medical field, but I definitely just the receptionist. I don't feel like she wants me to pull through from the very beginning of the appointment. This is very much me, ironically, from Uncle Female. I'll be like, I needed that laugh, and it'll be something that I said. I do think I'm the funniest person I know, and that's terribly conceited. Oh, it's true though. I'm the best. The best there is. Deal with it. I like first of all, just the idea of Gambit comforting Wolverine. You okay? Oh my God, no. But for the purposes of this conversation, yes, I'm fine. Gambit was a good friend. Very sadly, if you're watching X-Men 97, Gambit has passed away. So, very sad stuff. Let's get activated before we leave, before we ruin today. Catherine Pope says, trans women are women. Barbara says, when did you transition, hon? You look great. Just uplifting, positive feedback. When did you transition, hon? You look great. And that response is one angry face. I'm a biological female, bitch. Oh, why are you offended then? If trans women are women, then you can't be offended by when someone asks you when you transitioned. Because first of all, you're saying you're tacitly admitting that trans women are not women, because that would offend you, or that you look like a man, which God forbid we say that trans women still look like men. So what if a Pizza Hut becomes a Chinese place? It's not like you can still tell that it was a Pizza Hut. It's a Chinese place. A friend just shared a line from a student paper. Despite being made in the late 1900s, many of the themes of The Matrix are still relevant today, and I can literally feel my body decaying in the grave. Someone's writing a paper about The Matrix. I think the government just shut off my microphone. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Someone made a paper about The Matrix still being relevant today. It's not that old. I'm looking for a woman that is between the ages of 24 and 49 who will willingly financially support me while I search for the truth. God, I would like that. Just a woman between 24 and 49 who would support me financially while I search for the truth. I would love to take some time off from the daily grind. Maybe if not to find the truth, because although the truth is out there, maybe just finding myself. I think I could find myself probably within the confines of this house. I wouldn't really have to go anywhere, so it would be okay. On the other hand, if like travel expenses are included from my sugar mama, then I'm probably going to go out there. Does your baby cry all the time? Actually, because it craves the smooth, refreshing pull of Marlboro Red. Babies know what they want. They know. Hello, are you a UFO? That's what I would do in my search for the truth. I think I remember this episode. I think he's supposed to be in Newport News, Virginia in this episode. Looking for a boat called, what was the name of the boat? It wasn't the Piper Maru. Anyway. There was an episode where he was in my hometown. That's why I mentioned that. You're like, where does Newport News? Well, that's my hometown. Last meme of the day before we blast on out of here and you guys never come back. Stop making new Coke flavors of Diet Coke. The original flavor, chemicals, is already perfect. Diet Coke. That's the flavor you want, the flavor of chemicals. Ironically, I did make a shirt that is Coke themed. It's supposed to be anyway. Chemicals. I don't know why. Enjoy Coca-Cola, enjoy chemicals. If you want to try to get that shirt, you can try to get it. Good luck to you on that one. That's all I can say about that. All right, let's take in some hate before I leave. That way the rest of my day is ruined and I can just think about why I shouldn't even bother to do this show, because all I do is apparently export hatred into other people's lives and then import it into my own. So let's fill the rest of the day up with cognitive dissonance. By the way, can people actually hear me? I'm getting text messages from somebody. Your main mic is not feeding. I think that's because the government wasn't happy with what I was saying. Can you hear me now? At least you could hear me with the. Boy, the government's really after me today, huh? I left. Where are you? Same mic? Didn't get any better? It says Roadcaster now, so I don't know. I'm just going to end the show. There's nothing I can do. How about now? Don't leave. Well, the government's trying to shut me down. There's nothing I can do. Sorry for the audio quality now, but at least you can still hear me before I leave, before the government completely shuts me down. Literally, it said like, oh, your microphone's off. And I could hear a click. And then, Michael Hendricks is telling me that it went to my backup mic. As long as you guys can make me out till the end of the show. I'm gonna fight this roof. Did you realize that Keith is a fire person? Anyway, my laptop just died. I need to order a new one, but then I have to go to the city to get it. You can get those delivered. They were put there by a man in a factory downtown. That's how you know that Jenny is an OG. She's somebody almost as old as me. I was making comments about how a Pizza Hut could transform into a Chinese restaurant, and then you could still tell it's a Pizza Hut. And then like the government, whoever my FBI agent is, was trying to shut me down. I like cast iron, but yeah, you just scrub it with salt water. All right, let's just end the show. Everyone's like talking to each other, so John is now podcasting from his restroom. That's just what I sound like in real life, guys. I didn't switch the mics. The government did it for me. Sorry. It was not intentional, no. I didn't do anything. I actually, to switch microphones, I have to like open like a dialogue box. Still some echo. Well, there you go. That's how you know that 168 more hours. We'll miss you. If it's not the last show because you guys are sick of it, the government won't let me go on. So, God forbid I say something. I guess I'd rather be silenced by the government technologically than be shot. But, well, I don't know. Either way. All right. My work will not deliver my laptop. I have to. Okay, good point. All right. It looks pretty cool, Lauren. Never seen anything like it. We will talk to each other wanting your input on the conversation. I know, but there's 12 of you. I can't be in on all of that. Sorry for my technological problems. I think we all know that spontaneously a microphone shorting out, blowing up is not a coincidence of any kind. But we'll see you on Thursday, I'm sure. There will be a show of some kind. I don't know what it'll be about. We might just do another just chillaxing episode because both Drew and I are pretty tired. And to be honest, I don't speak for Drew, but if I had to guess, he's worn down just like I am, both from everything we did for Adelson and still last week. We've got to have some downtime. And the thing is, I'm trying not to go on vacation because I need to do that at the end of the month. That's when I'm actually going to be gone, is last week of September, first week of October. I don't know if I'll miss any shows or not. I don't know. But sorry for everything. I like saying that at the end of every show. We'll see you back here next week. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day, everyone. And put down your phones and get out into the real world and do something nice for a stranger. If not for them, for yourself.
Done it before. DDT in the 50s, Agent Orange, germ warfare on unsuspecting neighborhoods.
Yes, but why, Mulder? Why would they intentionally create a populace that destroys itself?
Fear. It's the oldest tool of power. If you're distracted by fear of those around you, it keeps you from seeing the actions of those above.